All right, so it's a great question. How do you identify a call, and what would then bring you into following Jesus in a new way? I'll go back a little. My pathway is a little bit different. I guess everybody's is a little bit different. My pathway would have started with business in general. I felt very comfortable in front of people, very comfortable leading organizations, very comfortable training people, very very comfortable inspiring people, stuff like that. I had multiple restaurants and several businesses that were subsidiary to those restaurants. And I had a moment when God reminded me of a relationship that I had with Him. And He challenged me at one moment and brought me to my knees. And I made a request of Him to say, take me back to the place where I need you again, because the amount of money that I was making was sort of unnecessary to need God, which um, put me into a good place to talk to people now who feel like they don't need God because of many of their financial abilities. But He put me in that position, and I realized, I need Him again. And He brought me to then another time in my life shortly thereafter where I had that opportunity to make a choice to get out of my businesses and to pursue Him, or stay in my businesses and make a lot more money. And thankfully for my life, He reminded me. He said, "I thought you said you wanted me and not all this other stuff." And I was fortunate enough, and He was gracious enough to give me that opportunity. So I started pursuing Him instead of my businesses. And what I realized is that everything that He brought me through in my business career, every time a customer had come into my doors, our philosophy was to get everything for the customer that they want before they ever realize that they need it. And so whenever I look at people walking on the streets, that same thing that got infused within me as an entrepreneur is still in me as a minister of the gospel, as a church planter. The people on the streets don't know what they need. My task is to give them what they need before they know they need it. And what they need is light in the darkness. The world is dark. We have light. I can provide that. I can understand um, how that pushback of the darkness works. But everything that God did to me in a business aspect, I thought I had to use in the business world. That was incorrect. God was preparing me the whole time, calling me out to say, "Hey, the things I put in you to make this money, to make this business, to make these things thrive, I now want in my own kingdom." And so now God's availed me opportunities to share gospel, to see His kingdom arise, to plant. My family's been a part of. We planted 8 churches, and we're not done yet. Um, I continue to see Him use those skills that you may be thinking, well, I have these skills in the business world, but can He use them in a sacred place? He can. He does. He calls you to follow Him in those type of places.